Hi guys, I'm going to share my tips and tricks for how to get your fringe earrings to lay a lot flatter and look a lot cleaner. When I first started beading, I really struggled with fringe, so I decided to make a video with all of the tips I learned along the way. Let's jump into it. My first tip is to use a heavier bead when you're making fringe designs. I used to solely use Miyuki delicate beads, which are some of the smallest beads on the market, and I had no idea they were not ideal for fringe designs. They're just way too light to give your thread enough weight to lay flat. So I recently invested in some Rokai beads, which have made my fringe process so much easier. I'm going to show you guys a size comparison here. Obviously, completely investing in a whole new bead size is not always doable, but it's definitely something to consider if you're using a lightweight bead and you're constantly fighting with your fringe. My second tip is to switch to a nylon thread for your fringe. Fireline or fishing line is not ideal for creating fringe because it's so stiff and it tends to hold on to every dent you make in it. This nylon Miyuki thread is much more flexible and drapes smoother than the stiff fireline. My third tip, which I actually think not everybody agrees on, is to wax your thread. I've seen so many people online say that if you're using pre-waxed bead thread, that there's no need to wax it yourself. I decided to try it anyway after I made a lot of designs with really bad fringe, and you can see the side-by-side comparison of the thread before waxing versus after waxing. It sits so much straighter and smoother, and it's super easy to do, and I wish I started doing this sooner. If you have trouble managing your tension when working on fringe, this tip is for you. To get the perfect tension every time, I wedge a needle in between the last bead of my woven beadwork and the first bead of my fringe. I do this both when I'm pulling up and when I'm bringing my needle back down in the next bead to set up for the next row. You don't need to insert your needle right away. Wait until the thread loop starts getting smaller and you're ready to add your final bit of tension. This trick ensures you get the right tension every time and your fringe always lays beautifully. My final and my favorite tip is to press and tape your fringe earrings when you're finished. This idea is similar to pressing a leaf between two books to flatten it. I tape my fringe in the position I want, then I add a lightweight or medium weight book to press it down. I usually leave it for 24 to 48 hours and my fringe always comes out looking so much flatter and cleaner than it did before. Those are all my tips for making fringe earrings. I hope you found these useful for the next time you're making a design with fringe. If you have any more tips, comment them down below. I'd love to try them out. And if you're interested in this pattern I was working on in this video, I'll have it linked below. Thanks so much for watching.